Sunday, August 25th. German planes bomb targets in Northern Ireland and Britain. London is badly hit by incendiary bombs, and the skies above the city are full of smoke and flames, searchlights, and flak. In the southeast, the port of Ramsgate suffers heavy bombing. Following Churchill's orders, 81 Wellington and Hampden planes sent by Bomber Command brave heavy anti-aircraft fire to drop their explosives on military targets in North and Central Berlin, along with thousands of propaganda leaflets saying Hitler's war will last as long as Hitler does. The Soviet Foreign Minister Vyacheslav Molotov is visiting the city at the time. No British planes are shot down, and some return to their bases still fully loaded after being unable to locate their targets. The damage suffered by the German capital is limited, but the audacity of the operation has shocked the city's populace and infuriated Hitler, who orders Göring to level London and other major British cities. The war at sea continues to claim hundreds of lives. The Royal Navy destroyer Hostel is sunk after hitting a mine, while the submarines of the WW2 relentlessly harass the shipping lanes. U-100, commanded by Joachim Schepke, sinks the British merchant ship Jamaica Pioneer, and George Wilhelm Schultz's U-124 sinks the Fircrest, the Harpalus, and the Stakesby. U-37, captained by Victor O'Hearn, destroys the Blairmore and the U-Crest. U-48, under the orders of Hans Rudolf Rossing, sinks the Athelcrest and Empire Merlin, while Eric Topp's U-57 sinks the Pecten. Monday, August 26th. The shocked and frightened people of Berlin blame Hermann Göring for recent events. He promised the city would never be bombed, or he would change his name to Meyer. Angry Berliners mock the Air Marshal, calling him Herr Meyer. He also faces the criticism of the Army High Command and the contempt of Hitler. Despite this, German planes continue to attack Britain, once more bombing the London area during the night with incendiary explosives. They also carry out one of the heaviest raids of the war so far against airfields in southern England. But Fighter Command's radar pick up the enemy planes, and the RAF pilots force them to turn tail. British Bomber Command responds to the German offensive by attacking 17 airfields in Germany, Belgium, Holland, and northern France. In Fulda, in Germany, Catholic bishops express their gratitude to the troops of the Reich and swear loyalty to the Führer in defense of the homeland. In Egypt, the government resigns due to internal tensions between those who support closer relations with Britain and those who are opposed to this. The air forces of Hungary and Romania clash above Debrecen in eastern Hungary, heightening the tension between the two countries. There is another border incident between Romania and Russia when planes come into conflict in the skies above Herta, Moldova in northeast Romania. The Soviets have deployed more than 20 divisions in the areas bordering Bessarabia and the north of Bukovina. Tuesday, August 27th. Hitler proposes to the Army and Navy High Commands that the seaborne landings in England should take place in accordance with the space available on the ships and the conditions presented at the designated landing areas, with the safety of the troops as a priority. He rules out some of the landing places suggested by Admiral Raeder in his Northwest plan. However, he once more stresses that to those present at the meeting that Operation Sea Lion, Unternehmen Seelove, should not be regarded as a sort of river crossing, as this would seriously underestimate the risks involved. Prime Minister Winston Churchill, having witnessed air fights over Dover, is informed by the experts working on the breaking of the Enigma Code that they have information suggesting the Germans harbor many grave doubts about the planned invasion. RAF bombers carry out raids on Germany, attacking the naval bases of Kiel and Wilhelmshaven, the factories of Messerschmitt at Augsburg, and the fuel tanks of Mannheim. In Italy, the factories of Fiat in Turin are bombed, and in France, the oil reserves in the Gironde estuary near Bordeaux and military facilities in Brest and Cherbourg. The Luftwaffe prepares massive nighttime bombing operations against major British cities. In the Sea War, U-28, commanded by Gunther Kunde, sinks the Norwegian merchantman Eva. The Greek ship Theodoros is sunk by Victor O'Hearn's U-37, and the British ship HMS Dunvegan Castle is sunk by Engelbert Endras's U-46. Wednesday, August 28th. In the Battle of Britain, the Luftwaffe starts the nighttime bombing of the major British cities. London, Liverpool, Manchester, Sheffield, Birmingham, and Coventry are all attacked. The British capital suffers the most, being bombed without let-up for 5 hours. British and German fighter aircraft clash above the Thames estuary in Kent. Göring's boasts that the Luftwaffe would put an end to the RAF are being shown to be empty, and the planes of the Bomber Command attack Berlin and Italian industries in Piedmont and Lombardy. In the Mediterranean, planes from the Regia Aeronautica once again attack the British colony of Gibraltar and the oil facilities at Haifa in Palestine. In Germany, Hitler welcomes Count Ciano, Mussolini's foreign minister, to his house at Obersalzberg-Berchtesgaden to plan together the so-called Vienna Awards, which will try to settle the territorial conflicts of the Bulgarians, Romanians, and Hungarians. In the United States, President Roosevelt manages to modify some articles of the Neutrality Acts so American warships can enter European war zones. In Vichy, France, Marshal Pétain blames disturbances in the area of Lake Chad in Africa on mercenaries linked to de Gaulle. In the Sea War, U-101, commanded by Fritz Frauenheim, sinks the Finnish merchant ship Elbe, while U-28, captained by Gunther Kuhnke, sinks the British vessel Kino. Thursday, August 29th. The foreign ministers of Germany, Italy, Hungary, and Romania meet in Vienna. In the Battle of Britain, the Luftwaffe bombs London, causing significant damage and destruction and claiming many lives. Other waves of attacks target Liverpool, the airfields of Eastchurch on the Isle of Sheppey and Southend in the Thames estuary, Bristol and the Beaufighter aircraft factories, and the armaments industries of Norwich and Coventry. For their part, Bomber Command continue their attacks against Berlin. Speaking on the radio, the German propaganda minister, Joseph Goebbels, accuses Churchill of trying to terrorize the city's population. Indeed, for Berliners, the reality of the war has now been brought home. The Kriegsmarine Admiral, Gerhard Wagner, suggests to Grand Admiral Raeder that the Führer should shift the focus of his war against Britain to the Mediterranean in collaboration with Italian forces. Gibraltar should be taken, he says, and northern Africa invaded with the intention of occupying the Suez Canal. Another incident takes place in the air over the Russian-Romanian border. A Romanian plane has been shot down by 3 Russian aircraft. The Romanian government intends to reduce the tension by withdrawing some of its forces stationed on the border. Force M set sail from the British naval base of Scapa Flow in the Orkney Islands, heading for Dakar in Senegal. The aim is to land troops to support the pro-de Gaulle forces. In the Battle of the Atlantic, U-100, commanded by Joachim Schepke, sinks the British cargo ships Astra II, Empire Moose, and Hartismere. Friday, August 30th. In the daytime raids, 800 German planes strike 9 command centers of fighter command in southern England. At dusk, London and Liverpool are bombed with incendiary explosives. The actions of British Bomber Command against Germany are stepped up. The Krupp factories at Essen, the refineries at Gelsenkirchen, Bottrop, and military objectives in Berlin and the Ruhr Basin are targeted. Railway stations and airfields in Germany, the Netherlands, and Belgium, and the submarine base at Saint-Nazaire on the French Atlantic coast are also hit. On the outskirts of Bordeaux, in occupied France, the Italians established their Bête Somme base with 30 submarines commanded by Admiral Angelo Perona. Their mission is to support the German U-boats in the Battle of the Atlantic. In Vichy, France, Marshal Pétain grants the Japanese the right to use airports in Indochina. The American government protests against this. Romania eventually accepts the arbitration of the Axis powers in the second round of meetings held in Vienna and agrees to cede to Hungary more than 45,000 kilometers in northern Transylvania, more than half of what the Hungarians lost in the Treaty of Trianon. The Romanian troops must leave the area in 15 days. The Royal Navy begins Operation Hats. The cruiser Valiant and the aircraft carrier Illustrious are sent with a few other cruisers and destroyers to patrol the waters between Gibraltar and Alexandria. Saturday, August 31st. In the Battle of Britain, the RAF is going through one of its worst moments. 12 Fighter Group is reaching its limit in terms of pilots and planes. Hugh Dowding tells Churchill of his doubts about being able to resist the German air attack. Consecutive waves of Luftwaffe planes strike London, Liverpool, Bristol, Manchester, and other cities, and some airfields. According to reports of the OKL, the Air Force High Command, since the start of the operation, German planes have dropped more than 5 million bombs on Britain and destroyed 7,000 aircraft. Nevertheless, British Bomber Command attacks Berlin and the French cities of Boulogne and Cherbourg, as well as several Dutch airports. British pilots warn their commanders that they have spotted a huge contingent of German landing crafts concentrated in the ports of northern Europe. In the French Congo, a group of French officials rise up against the Vichy regime. In the capital, Brazzaville, they arrest General Husson, governor of the colonies, and take him to Leopoldville in the Belgian Congo. Colonel Delarminat has taken charge of the troops following instructions by Charles de Gaulle. In the sea war, the cargo ship Dunnigan Castle is sunk by the torpedoes of an unknown submarine. U-38, commanded by Heinrich Liebe, destroys the British merchant ship Har Zion. U-46, captained by Engelbert Endres, sinks the Belgian vessel Vie de Hassel. Joachim Mott's U-59 puts an end to the British ship Bilberry, and U-60, commanded by Adalbert Schnee, sinks the Norwegian vessel Volendam.